Yes, you have to say start, then Vidya Lakshmi will continue.
Sir, good evening, participants. This is IIA chapter coming up with a very interesting webinar. We have our women architects who are joining us today. I request Architect Lognathan sir, our Joint Secretary of IIA chapter, to welcome the gathering.
Vanakkam. Actually, as a formality, normally we have our chairman, Architect K. Sindhil Kumar sir, to give the welcome address. I'll call upon Architect Sindhil Kumar sir to give his welcome address. Architect Sindhil Kumar, please.
Thank you, dear Lognathan. I think this is our fourth webinar we are organizing. Fifth. Okay. So I think you are too fast. I couldn't realize that. So this is the fifth webinar we are realizing on behalf of the Indian Institute of Architects Tamil Nadu chapter. And so far we didn't have any female architects in the previous webinars. This is the first time, and we have six architects. I know Architect Sheila Vikas madam very well. She has been involved in all the IIA activities. She conducted the car restaurant. You remember?
Yeah,
one of the first place. Yeah, she was she organized it. I mean, she so committed to IIA. Whenever we ask her help, she's willing to come. And Vijay Lakshmi, who's the Dean Academic Research in Vijayawada. She's also, we interacted a lot in Anna University School of Architecture. So I also know her very well. And Vidya Lakshmi Rajshekhar, now I came to know her recently through the WhatsApp groups. A lot of events she's conducting. And we are really proud of her knowledge in Tamil and a lot of activities she's promoting in our native language. We should really appreciate the fact for that. And the other three, I think I should say leading young architects, I'm yet to get familiarized with. I request you to also attend all our IIA meetings and give your feedback because we need a lot of youngsters. We are all slowly moving out, and you should come and take the responsibility further. Actually, so I welcome Architect Anupamal, Sophia, and Harini to this webinar. And I also thank all the participants who are attending this. And you can ask, you can interact with them. If not here, you can send the emails to them and get a reply. If the time is short and we are not able to answer all the questions, maybe like emails can be sent to them there to the IIA Tamil Nadu chapter, and we can forward it to the respective speakers and get the reply for you. Thanks once again, and I request Architect Lognathan to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Singh sir. In fact, we had one webinar earlier where Architect Punni madam was there, but she was there with some men. But here we have all women architects, which is a very proud moment, very happy moment, and it's quite a colorful moment. And we look forward to a wonderful webinar. I now hand it over to Architect Vidya Lakshmi to do the honors. She's the moderator. As Sindhil Kumar mentioned, she's been doing a wonderful job in terms of appreciation, art appreciation, architecture appreciation, both in English and Tamil. So this is a great thing happening. Architect Vidya Lakshmi, please, and I welcome all the participants on behalf of IIA Tamil Nadu chapter. Over to Architect Vidya Lakshmi, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for both of your wishes. I'm really happy to hear that. Good evening, everyone. This talk is based on few statistics and observation. An article published on Empowering Women in Architecture in India, 2016, quotes only 40% of the registered architects are women in India, and in that, only 22% of them are employed. And in that 22%, a majority of the women are into teaching. Where Are the Women is a book released by Canadian architect Despera Strategos, and she is actually quoting, women are very less in number when it comes to the field. And this field is technically dominated by men for a long period of time. This field do have women who are very successful, with hope and the rise of new advocates who are challenging the profession. So today we are here to hear the success stories of a lot of women from our city. That's the pleasure that we take up today. I take immense pleasure in welcoming Architect Sindhil Kumar sir, Chairman, IIA Chapter, Architect Lognathan, Joint Honorary Secretary, IIA Tamil Nadu Chapter, Architect Babu Rajeshwaran, Joint Honorary Secretary, IIA Tamil Nadu Chapter, and our eminent speakers for this evening, Architect Sheila Shi Prakash ma'am, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, Architect Anupama and Harini, and Architect Sophia, and all the participants. I just love to give a brief introduction about the speakers because few are very new to them, few are known to us. So to go with the order, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, Professor Dean Research, School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada, an institution of national importance under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. She has completed her BArch and MArch from School of Architecture, Planning and Design, Anna University. She has published many papers in reputed national and international journals. She has 25 years of experience in teaching, and her research interests include sustainable built environment, energy efficient architecture, and environmental friendly architecture. We welcome you, ma'am. The second speakers is going to be like Anupama and Harini T. Raja, Studio Decode established in September 2018. Anupama and Harini did their undergraduate from SRM University and masters from Greenwich University, London. Anupama had been a landscape architect at Cornwall Environmental Consultant and was a freelance architect for a year in Chennai. Harini had worked as a project architect at the Chennai Adiyar Punga Eco Restoration Project. After a year here, both of them together, they started the Studio Decode since 2018. We welcome both of you. Sophia Sabreen, the principal architect of Design Stacks. She has her master's and is still pursuing her doctorate in architecture from USA and has worked great architecture fraternity both in USA and in India. Her firm, Design Stacks, specializes in architecture and interior designing of commercial and residential spaces and is actively involved in pro bono services. She's also a motivational speaker and an avid writer on architecture and leadership. We welcome you, ma'am. And our Sheila Shi Prakash ma'am is an internationally acclaimed architect, urban designer, and sustainability expert who founded Shilpa Architects, Planners, Designers in 1979. Sheila has a bachelor degree in architecture from the Anna University School of Architecture and Planning and extended the executive education program at Harvard University Graduate School of Design. Her portfolio includes several critical acclaimed architectural projects in India and around the world. She is the founding trustee of the Reciprocatory Foundation that creates awareness and empathy among the people and brings together multiple stakeholders group of address and to respond to sustainability challenges that our planet and humanity face. She's been recently awarded Bean Merenti 2017 medallion by the University of Architecture and Urbanism, the Ministry of National Education and Scientific Research, Romania. We welcome you, ma'am. We will go with the talk. I would welcome Dr. Vijay Lakshmi ma'am to deliver her talk now.
Please unmute, madam.
Okay.
No,
I have unmuted. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Very good afternoon to one and all. I'm Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, and Vidya has given a brief introduction about me. Today, since this topic is about women in architecture and as an academician, I would be concentrating more on architecture academicians. And I think many of the people who are attending, the participants, are also freshmen academicians. So from that point of view, I will be talking. If you have any questions about my journey into this domain of architecture, being an academician in architecture, please feel free to ask me in the end, because I had already given my biography in which almost my journey was there. So I'll be splitting, since we have been given 10 to 15 minutes time, I'll be splitting this presentation into 3 parts. The first will be history of academicians who have excelled in architecture. Second part is contemporary challenges of women in workplace, that is institutions and colleges. And the third is ways of enhancing your credentials to move higher. So if we look at the history of academicians, and if we look at the highest award that is being given to academicians, it is the Royal Academy of Academicians Award given by the Royal Academy of Arts, London. In the past century, there have been only 45 architects out of a total 250 awards that have been given by this academy. Out of these 45 architects, in 100 years, only 3 women have won the award. They are Eva Jerikna, that is in 1997, architect Zaha Hadid in 2005, architect Farshid Mosavi in 2015. Architect Eva is she's a professor at University of Prague. She heads the department. Architect Zaha Hadid was a professor emeritus, and architect Farshid Mosavi, she is in the Harvard School. If you look at this, they end up having 6.6% of the architects of the 45 architects are women. Now, why is it significant? Because we need to know why academicians as architects are not that many in number or shining that much in the country. In order to understand that, I had done this work. Now, what is it that all these ladies have in common? All of them were involved in intense research. So we cannot downplay the role of academicians in architecture. We've been quite used to saying that architecture is a practicing field. It's a practicing field. You are an academician. It's a secondary thing. It is not. All these people had intense research, and they had a roaring practice in which they applied this research. Their researches included a number of publishing, as well as they have written a number of books. Also, one thing which any of us can get inspired, in fact, the people who are stepping into academics were trying to look at teaching as a profession. All these 3 people started their education in a small way in their own country. They did not start with a Harvard or a AA. We all know that architect Eva, she is from Czechoslovakia and she migrated. And then now she's in Prague. We know Zaha Hadid, the architect, she is from Beirut, Iraq. Architect Farshid Mosavi is from Iran. So their basic degrees were not like some of the most premier or the creamiest institutions, but they teach an institution which is supposedly churns out the best designers in the world. If we look at earliest pedagogical pioneers, architect Dennis Scott Brown, she joined teaching only in 1960. So we are about 60 years before at University of Pennsylvania. And I cannot miss Professor Christine Hawley. She was the first woman to head a British architecture school, that is AA, in 1979. Again, that is pretty recent. Why do I call these 60 or 70 years recent? That's because we cannot compare women in architecture or even the profession of taking academics seriously in architecture to other fields like, say, mathematics or physics, which has been centuries older. Now the trend is, even in the West, there are far few professors who are women. Most of the women who are into academics, they dominate research only, part-time jobs, and probably jobs which are insecure. This is not something that I say, but research papers say this. So from this, we learn that for women to be in architecture and to shine is a recent trend compared to other domains. Now I move on to the next part of my presentation, which is contemporary challenges of women faculty at workplace or institutions. Most of it come from most of it I can relate to my journey. I have undergone quite a few of this. And all this is also based on what women have said. First is, women have to prove themselves at least 3 times more than men for the same position. This is more so at the entry level. At the entry level, if a woman has 3 journal publications and a man has 1 journal publication, they could probably equate it same in terms of credentials. Second is, women are always judged or viewed when they are hired for their marital status or status of, say, for whether they have been in the family way. This was also my experience. I had lost out on a few jobs just because I was in the family way, just because I was married, and there was anticipation. You are just married, you would be having children, and then you would take a maternity leave. Of course, the concept of maternity leave was never there in private institutions then when I worked. but even in government institutions, this is how they view women, as if men came here on earth by courier service. The next is third is how advancement and promotions. I've always observed that women have to work really hard and strive really hard to the point of even begging for an advancement of promotion or promotion when they work in the same institution. That is, one is primarily because of familiarity. The management knows this person, they know that anyways they will work. What is the point of giving a promotion? She will anyway stick to this place in the same position. Why give her? Instead, we can hire some more people. And also because women's income is considered as an additional income, so the compensation is always compromised. How can you make a blatant statement like that? Yes, because I have observed it. For an interview, when a husband and a wife comes, the wife has more credentials than her husband. When I say credentials, I mean academic credentials. She has more. But then after persuading the other male members of the committee that no, both of them are equally good and we should give them the job, we are being told that the wife should be given at least 100 rupees less, because the wife is supposed to earn at least 100 rupees less than the husband. So this is a mindset which women have to face. So salaries are compromised because men have to earn more than women. Then there are, when we come to personal side, sometimes I find that women complain that they have intrusive relatives, like their mother-in-law or parents. I, for one, believe once you go for work, your gender should not come in the way. If a task is assigned, which is relatively difficult for a woman to carry out, you cannot complain there. You cannot say that I'm a woman, it's difficult for me to do it. At that time, we need support from the family. For example, in academics, architecture women, they have to go on study tours, they have to go on site visits, say for example, rural study or NSS or something like that. So it's a time away from the family, and I think someone from the either the spouse or somebody else should pitch in at that time. Then things like, getting leave and things like that. Now, when it comes to teaching, now these are things which are very specific to women. Of course, I'll again come back to things which are very specific to women. I also feel when we talk of challenges in teaching architecture, irrespective of men or women, these days we have a challenge of trying to teach design en masse, which is actually very difficult because design is one-to-one. Design is understanding the student's personality, and therefore how a design is a reflection of his personality. When this en masse teaching comes, that becomes a real challenge for anybody, including women. Now, another thing I find, many women, they need flexibility in workplace, at least during the initial stages of their life, because of their personal life and professional life clashing, which is not possible. It was not in my case. It was possible in my case. I did work in an institution which said women should be given complete flexibility. And I think I did shine best most in that institution, which is Bharat Engineering College. So that institution said, okay, you have 2 babies, we will give you flexibility. You have a permanent gate pass. I was able to take care or bring up my very small children, newly born child, actually, not very small children only. I had a newborn child, I had a 2-month-old child and a 14-month-old child. I was able to manage my institution as well as my home. Then one thing I'd like to emphasize very much when it comes to women teaching and being in the profession is health issues. I suggest all women should take care of their health. When you work in an institution, the timings are very rigid. You have to, you run with the hand of the clock. There is no time to pause. You don't have that option at all. You need to take care of your health issues. So these are the challenges that contemporary women face because they want to be like a superwoman. Now, third part of my presentation is ways of enhancing your credentials. So it is very important that you be updated all the time. There is no negotiating that aspect. So First is you have to enhance your qualification. Now, all the three ladies that I told you who had excelled in the profession, in academics, and also in practice, but primarily in academics also, and had won award for being academicians. They had every time moved to a higher institution for their next degree. So I feel that is why am I telling you this, because nobody told me this perspective or this dimension when I had done my graduation. Though I had very high GATE scores, I did not even know that I should have at least applied to much higher level institutions. So every time from your first degree to the second degree, try to go to an institution of a higher level. Definitely write papers for conferences. Reason is conferences are not that rigid or that strict in evaluating your papers. So the feedback isn't extremely negative. There is never a immediate rejection unless it's extremely bad. There is never an immediate rejection, but there are few reviews or few feedbacks which can actually enhance your morale. And it also helps a lot in creating a network with other academicians working in that domain. Third is, please have journal publications. When I say journal publications, very strictly non-paid journal publications only. Don't go for paid journal publications. You will only end up having a bad reputation in the academic circle. Try to go for Scopus or Web of Science journals, at least in that level you go. Fourth is, start applying for funded research project. You please apply. Then you would have clarity on what your domain of area of interest or area of research is, because it is not easy to get funded research project. Even if you get, I had got funded research project, and I had lot of, the point is I never had a godfather here. So I think everyone was my godfather. I feel like that now. At hindsight, I feel like that so many people have helped me. Had I had a godfather, I would have had relied only on that person. Apply for funded research project to various institutions, various government institutions. Apply for institutional consultancy. Institutional consultancy is primarily charity work as far as I know. You hardly get paid. But nevertheless, please do institutional consultancy. You will learn a lot, and it will also you will also get credit for it. Organize seminars, conferences, short-term training programs, faculty development programs. Why? First is, you will be able to know who all are the experts in that particular expertise or that particular topic. Second is, you will be able to understand your own organizing skills. You will learn a lot in terms of the topic. You will network with a lot of people just sitting in your place, because you're organizing, participants are coming. You will be able to establish a good network, which is also very important. The next is, seventh is, setting up of labs. You must get involved in setting up of new and contemporary labs. Private institutions also, they will be willing to help you if you try to push it. You have to push, and you have to try to tell them why it is important. Now, how will you set up a lab? You should have an area of a domain, an expertise domain. Only then you will be able to push, whether it's a lighting lab, acoustic lab, building simulation lab. Do something, try to set up a small lab. All you need initially is a cupboard to keep the instruments. That's it. Only after you demonstrate your work, you need a space to work there. Being innovative in interpreting the syllabus to make class interesting is actually the reason why you are in this profession. Why you are teaching? You're teaching because it's your duty to churn out inspiring students. It is your duty to give different perspective, not just bookish knowledge, different perspective to the same problem to the student. You have to be updated. So these are the three things I feel, three aspects I feel are big challenges for women who are into teaching. So I think my time is up, so I will stop with it. Thank you. Architect Vidya.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. You've given us a wonderful insight about the cultural, social, and technical perspective of women in academic profession. Improving skills of people in teaching, research processes, and organizing interactive session and inspiring students. I'm very sure that it will help a lot of people in this profession. Thank you so much. I welcome Anupama and Harini to share their views with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for taking the time out to listen to us today. I especially thank the IIA, the Tamil Nadu chapter, and architect Vidya Lakshmi has made this whole coordination process so easy. It's been a pleasure. So let me start off. Today, Harini and I, we are going to talk about our journey through this. I'd like to make a small correction, if I might. We actually started our practice in 2008. It's our 12th year of practice. We run a firm called Studio Decode. Architecture as a profession is very different from what you learn in college. In college, you don't have the constraints of site conditions, dealing with clients, a lot of other restrictions that you have, like simply like weather conditions, budgets, timelines. So when you in college, you can unleash your creativity. You can really enjoy your design. And once you're outside, there's a whole lot to learn. And the point I'm trying to make is that once a girl finishes architecture, especially if you do a master's, there is direct or indirect pressure to get married and start a family. And so men don't have this kind of constraint. They have the time to be on their own and really learn the job, get practical knowledge and everything before they set up. So what I would say is that the moment you finish, just start working for somebody or take on a project. You learn a lot before you start settling down and have the other pressures that come with starting a family and running a home. The other thing that we've noticed is that, not noticed, it's a well-known fact that women, especially in India, are not expected to be primary breadwinners or even work. In fact, some of them are not really allowed to work. They think that working would hamper, responsibilities, taking up responsibility at home. So when this happens, women are demotivated, and it's easy to just sit in that comfort zone and not really push yourself, get out there and work, build something for yourself. And over the years, that fever you have that to go out and work, it gets less and less until it's just it's a distant dream. So that is one thing. The other thing is the practical aspects that most women face, like that bubble of safety and the security that you need to have around you at all times, being aware and alert. This happens in any profession, really. But why I bring that up is because as architects, we're expected to go for site visits, and the work that Harini and I do is a lot of hands-on work. We go to the site, we experiment with materials, techniques, we work with the masons directly, and we come up with even colors of the oxide finishes, all the natural finishes. We are very particular about shades and texture, and we do it ourselves at site. So at this time, we have to keep a constant eye out for who's around us. Is it getting too dark? Do I need to get home? Is it safe? How am I going to go back home? And these are challenges that we as women face that we have to be aware of and learn to work around. The other thing is being second guessed from the moment you try and approach, a client approaches you for a project. Though they might like your work, you are second guessed. Can you manage working with a family? As architect Vijay Lakshmi said, yeah, you have a family, everybody thinks that, it's going to be much harder for a woman to do the job rather than a man. And women are also primarily connected with art and craft. And so they think architecture is really a combination of art and engineering. So whereas they may not doubt your aesthetic sense, they might think whether you can actually deliver a project from an engineering point of view. Can you think structurally, or can you actually manage a whole project on your own? Are you capable? And Harini and we've had to face this over the years. And it just takes confidence, build confidence. And that confidence comes with endurance, perseverance. Don't give up, don't stop practice, or you have to take breaks. We both took breaks when we had our kids, and we still sometimes take a break when the kids are ill. And that's why Harini is going to talk more about being in a partnership. That is something that's really helped us. You can take breaks, but don't give up, don't stop, just keep going. And good experiences, bad experiences that we've had as women, we haven't realized that they've been small bricks that have been building a foundation, and we built something for ourselves now. Call it our own. We're proud of the fact that we're actually doing this. And we have a platform on which we're standing. The other reason women could give up on practice is also because of the competition. There are so many architects coming out year on year. There's not enough work for everyone. So how do you combat this? We've had that. Many times we haven't had projects. We haven't had enough money coming in to run our office, and we've just got very frustrated and thought, okay, it's 8 years, shall we wind up? It's 10 years, shall we wind up? But we've just kept going somehow, and projects have been coming in. And I feel this has to do with the fact that you need to find a niche. We've tried a lot of different projects, a lot of different things, but we found our niche finally. We enjoy doing what we do, and we find people coming to us for those kind of projects. And luckily for us, now we've got enough work that we can turn down work that is not really relevant to what we are trying to focus on. And we take up few projects, but we try to do them really well. So we put our heart and soul into the projects, and we try and do them. And just a last note, really, for any women working, as we want to be the best. Women also have that drive. We have that competitive spirit. We want to be good at any role we take up. We want to be good architects or whatever work we're trying to do. We want to be great at managing the house. We want a beautiful home. We want to manage our husband and kids, or we want to be good daughters-in-law, daughters. We want to be a good friend. Or we also want time for ourselves and to pamper ourselves and do all that. And you can do all that, but not all on the same day, or not all sometimes even in the same week. Because if you're going to take up a lot of tasks and do them, ultimately you're going to crumble. You have a nervous breakdown. And I think my husband will be laughing if he listens to me, because this is exactly what I do, try to take too much on. We need to learn. The challenge is to compartmentalize and take up a few tasks and do those tasks very well. If you're trying to work that day, only do your work, get your family to help you. It's okay. The next day you can do everything for them and take a back seat from work. So these are our practical experiences, and Harini has a few more points that we discussed. Thank you so much for listening.
Right. Am I audible? Architect Vidya, am I audible? Yes. Good evening, one and all. I thank IIA Tamil Nadu chapter for convening such a wonderful evening, putting all us women, in front of the monitors. I mean, we're all there in little boxes, and that's exactly how we don't want to feel outside the webinar. But we're extremely thrilled to be here with all of you today. In continuation with what architect Anupama was talking, see, there is a general perception that women who are architects in practice would tend to quit to marry, or tend to take a maternity leave, as Dr. Vijayalakshmi ma'am rightly pointed out as well. And some of them do it, and some of them don't come back. Some of them do come back. And some of the women are even doubted if they would be able to command authority on job sites that is filled with men who are, starting with the civil engineers to all the consultants and the laborers as well. So this has led to, especially in India, in Tamil Nadu today, we are sitting and talking, this has led to less recognition and access to opportunities. So we spoke to a lot of our friends. Who are women and who are architects, some in the practicing fields, some who are not practicing. And they all have their own story. And to sum it up, to sum all their stories into a couple of lines, it's about people questioning their competency. Just because we are women, questioning their competency and qualification, and not believing that they can just spearhead a project, altogether. Obviously, we know our profession. We have long work hour culture. We have sometimes overnight working, and as well as the lack of encouragement to be patient, to wait for projects, like we were talking before, especially after a gap year or a break. So this is where for us, for me and Anupama, our partnership has helped. So we feel one of the key factors that has helped us follow core architectural practice and to sustain it has been our partnership. We have been very good friends since college. We did our masters together, and we started our practice in 2008. And there is a lot of respect for one another. Being women, we understand each other, we understand one another. There is a lot of trust and no play of ego between us. I'm just changing the slide as well. We both try and contribute equally. We keep each other motivated. There's always either too much work for us in a year, or there is too little work. And sometimes when one is down, the other steps up and keeps the motivation levels going. We network with a lot of other architects who are women. We keep in touch with women architects. We look up to our seniors. When we have doubts, we call them, we ask them, we share our work, and they share theirs. So it's an amazing fraternity of women architects. And I think the responsibility is completely ours to capitalize on these opportunities that are available to us. And we also, so we believe our partnership is one key reason for our success so far. And we always deal with chat together. So there's a joke we always say, oh, there's a problem at site, or somebody did not turn up for work, or there's something that's been built in a wrong way. We deal with it as a bundle of sticks, and we go there, and then we sort out issues, and then there's always somebody to talk to. So we both talk to each other, clarify, and take all decisions together. We also understand, in continuation with what Dr. Vijayalakshmi and Anupama spoke, we understand family pressures. We understand tantrums thrown by kids. My kid is just peeping into the computer monitor as we are talking about kids. And we also understand not being available to an event or a meeting. And we work it out between family members. We work it out between ourselves. Therefore, we have found working together extremely productive. Working together as partners running an architecture firm has been extremely productive compared to working alone as a woman entrepreneur. Well, even when we go to a remote site visit, when we travel together, working with a large team of men, etc., we are safer. We feel safer because we're together. Hence, the so-called occupational hazards, are not speed bumps anymore. They're not speed breakers anymore. We consider them as opportunities. Moving on from this, we were discussing this topic among us, and we thought architecture itself is a multifaceted profession today. So there are architects who deviate from mainstream architecture. They do not practice, especially girls after they pass out of architecture. They move to other formats of design. They get into interior decoration or a set design, or even sometimes fashion design, or something else, something completely different. So we felt today that's an opportunity as well. But on the other hand, it distracts younger girls from practicing architecture. Well, also to add a small line about social media pressures, we thought social media poses a threat to the younger generation of girls who pass out of architecture. They sometimes are demotivated looking at what all has been posted on say Facebook or Instagram, what their peers are doing and what they're not able to do. So these things are also there. Hence, there is absolutely no single explanation for this. The challenge we feel is to change a culture that will only be changed through representation when 50% of the people in a room are women. So we are waiting for that day when more women come forward, they partner with other women, and as a group, they make us lead. So thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Harini and Anupama, for sharing your views on comfort zone, family, building the skills, confidence, practical approaches, get back in line after you break, supporting each other mutually are wonderful. I'm sure the youngsters will. I welcome architect Sophia Sabreen to share her views on this topic.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, audible. You can do.
Thank you. So again, thank you so much, Vidya ma'am, for that introduction you've given, and a very good evening to all. So today, what I'm going to share is about my story as to how I slowly built my career and now have built a firm. So this is what I'm going to tell, being a girl or being a woman, what I did. So my journey as such till date has been like a whole gamut of experiences, right from working with different firms and teaching, and I explore myself each day and even till today. Like at the beginning, like any other school student in a higher secondary school with high ambitions in future, I also started mine. And being an architecture student, I completed my bachelor's. I did at IIA Academy of Architecture, and I started working. And my career started from my 4th year, basically when I interned. And I was really lucky to getting to do drawings, like detailed drawings, and meeting out clients or doing site work or something. That was my first huge exposure. That is literally after 4 years of my academics, I could do that. And then after my graduation, I did practice in a couple of firms. I took projects on my own and also side by side taught in colleges, as that was my passion. This time, I was still exploring what I want to do, whether I want to get into practice, whether I want to get into teaching. So what I'm trying to say here is that I gave myself some time to understand and analyze what I did as a person. So again, after trying to working in a couple of firms in Chennai, I pushed myself a little and explored working in cities like Bangalore. I also worked in Delhi. So initially, I did see quite a difference in work atmosphere, or difference in designing, and how people interact with each other. But the major thing, the kind of takeaway I had with about 2 or 3 years of experience at that time, was that difference in culture and everything, I had to keep myself updated. I had to learn with every year. I had to learn with every step, whether it's let it be designing or let it be construction or let it be even, keeping myself updated with softwares. So those were the things I learned with a varied exposure I had. And also, I think this is the time when I slowly started, after 3 years of my work experience, I slowly started of thinking of bringing my firm into a reality, of starting a firm. But before that, again, all these experiences where I felt it wasn't enough. So after working for a couple of years, and when I could foresee what I'm going to do the next 4 or 5 years, it's going to be designing, it's going to be construction, and it's going to be drafting. Designing, drafting, construction. Designing, drafting, construction. This is what I assumed I'll be doing in the next 4 or 5 years. And I didn't want to restrict myself to do the same thing. So now I decided I will take a step ahead and went and gave my entrance exams. I wrote IELTS, GRE, I wrote TOEFL, and I also wrote some more entrance exams and applied to colleges abroad. And then through that, I got an admission in one of the colleges in the US. That's where I did my master's and was doing a doctorate from Kansas State University. And that was the time, it was early in 2014, 2015. When I applied for my admissions and got an admission, I was already married. So being a married woman and then going ahead and pursuing career, at least for a family like me, when I came from an Orthodox family, it was an absolute no-no. And it gave in for a lot of conversations given for a lot of gossip and conversations. But in spite of this, I tried and broke the norms, thanks to my husband, who was really supportive. I broke the norms, went ahead, went and studied, went and worked, got to explore various aspects of architecture, construction styles, and technology. And the exposure was not just restricted to architecture or something like it. It also got me a chance to teach, where I had, I was doing a teaching assistant's job that gave me a whole new experience internationally. But the most important thing which I really explored while studying there is the importance of researching before designing. Many of us, okay, many of us architects, even when you're working with firms or you have your own firm, we barely reference or barely research. I've spoken to a couple of my counterparts as well. So this concept of researching before design, I think I really got, I understood the importance at that time. And so I really, while managing my design, I also give a lot of importance to research. After that, after my studies and after working a little while, then I came back to India. So this is the time when I decided to bring these design ideas or technology or even softwares I learned, like it be BIM or virtual reality or Diva, like all these energy efficiency softwares. And these are the major things which motivated me to start my firm. Right from being a total novice in architecture, I took little steps in order to build my career, build my experiences, and these experiences and these knowledge I had is actually what helped me build my firm. But before kind of completing this, I want to tell, as a woman, what kind of journey I had in this field, because I don't find myself any different than man. At least in today's world, I can truly go out and work, but we still have restrictions wherein we have restrictions on working late hours and all of those. But all I did was just make a little more attempt to go beyond barriers. I got married at the age of 23, 24, but still this didn't stop me from achieving my career. I think Dr. Vijay Lakshmi and architect Harini actually referenced it really well, saying that we might have gaps, but it is just that you got to push yourself a little ahead. So the way I tackle these scenarios is by taking one step ahead, one step at a time, like starting to do small projects, like starting with a small residence, and then I built my team into 1 or 2 steps. So after that, it took me some time to build a team of 5 to 10 on working this. So I think if we have trouble as well, we can build these things step by step. That is what is one of the major secret sauces, I would say. And one more very important thing, I think, which I implied in my career, is that I am not scared of many things. Okay, I'm not scared of trying out new things. I've tried my hand on doing multiple, apart from architectural and interior designing, I've tried my hand at jewelry designing, I've tried my hand at architectural journalism. And I keep myself, updated, or I try my hand even in learning new software. So until unless we women, or any, for that matter, any architect, keeps yourself updated or skilled with new technology, I'm sure you're going to be in the market. You're going to do great things, and there's going to be a huge scope for you as a designer, for you as a market. And and the last thing I would like to say, just when architect Harini was talking, I think when we grow, when one grows, we need to help other grow as well. That is what we as a company, we as Design Stacks, we have something called the pro bono services, wherein we do free workshops to guide architecture students to get better exposure in their careers, to help them build further careers. And this I didn't get as a student. So I really want to do that for students who are currently pursuing and who are looking forward to such opportunities. So that's how we do some services like this. And yeah, this is what I want to say. And before I just leave, I would like to tell three small ideas or requests I have is, when you grow, please help others grow. Let it be your female counterparts or male counterparts. Just go ahead. While you grow, take others along with you and grow. Mentor them, help them grow as well. And very importantly, this is what helped me become an architect at this point in time, where there are a lot of architects and interior designers in the market, where there's a lot of competition. So that's the time. So I think keeping yourself updated, honing your skills, getting to learn new softwares, and portraying yourself with what you believe in, I think that would really help you move forward, build firms, build careers. And also, the most important thing to, I think, run a firm is, do not be scared to take risks. Do take calculated risks, but do not be scared to take risks. and you definitely need to go a little out of your comfort zone in order to, get something good. So just try and push yourself a little out of comfort zone, but do not be scared of taking risks. I think that's what I had to say. This is my small little journey I had. I wish I could help a few more architects build firms or build, do more projects with these. Thank you. I would now get it over to Architect Lakshmi.
Thank you, Architect Sophia, to share your views on coming out of the comfort zone, exposure, experiences, knowledge, your process towards this great approach, exploration, and it sounds really interesting. I welcome Architect Sheila Shiprakash ma'am to share her views with us. Welcome, ma'am.
Good evening, and I think this is a lovely program that the Tamil Nadu chapter has organized, because it brings women architects together of varied, experiences and varied age groups. So I'm very, very heartened to find that these young girls who have spoken with so much of passion and so much of love for what they are doing. So let me just share one thing with you. I think what sets us apart, let us not try to compete with men, but what sets us apart is the fact that we are women. And biologically, as women, our purpose is to nurture a family. And so that nurturing instinct in us, which is, a providential gift to us, is a phenomenal gift, because we try to nurture every project. And when you nurture every project, the passion and the focus that it goes to it, and how you defend the growth of the project, I think that is what makes it special. So as Vijay Lakshmi said, I think research and labs for in academics for architecture is something that is really, really important. And I think we should focus on that. And I think women are excellent in research. We know that all our scientists, even in our satellites and defense authorities, etc., we have women doing such wonderful work. So I think we would make fabulous research people to enhance the quality of our profession. Then as Anupama said, she said that partnerships give her safety. You know something, Anupama? When I started as a one-person office. And I always missed having a partner, because I felt that, everything was on me. I could not take a day off. I was scared to take a day off at that time because, I would be considered weak and a woman. So I was at that point. You must realize that when I started in 1979, the world was quite different. Right from biases of entering a college, the professors asking you whether you're serious in your career, to, the times when maestris would say, what does this young girl know? So right to, the family, you had to even, I had a very supportive family, but I have known so many young girls who buckle to the, wants of the family. When I say it may not be in the immediate family, but then some aunt, some uncle, somebody would say something. In fact, there was this cousin's husband of mine who asked me, I'll talk in Tamil. Huh? He says, so, those are the kinds of questions that you have to tackle with. And you think it is a waste of time trying to explain to the other person that it is not because of the money that you're doing this, but because of something else, some other inner satisfaction, some other want, and some other aspirations that you're working. And her point of safety at workplace is very, very, very vital. So we have to be aware that being women, we are still vulnerable in our society. And so how do you work with these vulnerabilities? There are limits. There are so many instances when I have said I will not travel alone. And I have lost jobs because of that. But I guess it goes with our, innate vulnerability that we have to tend for ourselves. So, and finding a niche. So, when you have to find a niche, what happens is that when you are precluded from some very creamy jobs, very high budget jobs, then you try to search within yourself and see what is a job that gives you satisfaction. So I think in the search, Harini and Anupama have found working with their hands and working on innovative solutions. So innovation can come through these requirements. So we should never look at that as a lacuna, but instead as an opportunity for us to search within ourselves and derive and analyze what we really want to do. And then Sophia was talking about baby steps. Yes, definitely baby steps. And I do find that there is a lot of truth in what she said. More than the men not accepting us in their coterie of, back, what would I say, as Jayanti Natarajan once told me that, men have this habit of this alumni club, and they can have a drink in the evenings and sign deals and things like that, which women cannot do or don't want to do. Okay, they can do it, but we prefer not to do it. So take baby steps, but be bold in what you do. So I love the way she said that you have to be bold in what you do. Try it out. What is there? But you must remember that in today's field, trying it out is very difficult because your design is not an intuitive reaction. Your intuitive reaction might say individualistically that you have to innovate. So there is some kind of a research that needs to be done, and that has to be put into practice. But what could the entire design team say? What could the project team say? What could the budget team say? Because today architecture is very complex. It is not a practice anymore. It is a very collaborative effort because you have so many consultants. You have the structural consultant, you have the MEP consultant, you have the marketing consultants, you have the budget cost consultants, you have the quality consultants, you have the PMC. I can go on and on, right? So, and plus you have the client who has his own, criteria and priorities of design. So it is like, creating that subtle balance which gets you what you want while considering and including all that it takes to make the design a success. So I think as far as a profession goes, I think it's a lovely profession. There are so many people who have asked me, is this the right profession for a girl? I would think that it is a fantastic profession for the girl, and I think that women are endowed with those special qualities and what it takes to be responsible and responsive. So that makes them very special. They can be wonderful architects and very creative architects. Two is that, when you try to do something in this world, you need a lot of focus and a lot of passion and a lot of strength of mind to continue. I have seen many talented young girls who've come to me as architects, who've gone back, because of their delivery, come back, and then, gone for the second child, come back. But when they come back, what happens is they find that technology has overtaken it. Software has overtaken it. Sometimes they begin to, doubt themselves and feel whether, they can go back and what it takes to go back. It is a lot of work. We are made for a lot of work. We know how to multitask. That is our forte. So I think we should use all these things to help us to get what we really need. And I am very saddened by the thought that, in many forums, I find that it is male dominated. It is not only in India, even outside India, you find that, the male domination is quite high. Even when I was in for the Habitat in Quito or in Washington for another meeting, we were a very few handful women, and we felt that we were marginalized. Because you can't shout out and you can't, be vociferous in what you're saying, and say, we're not brash, we're not brusque. It's not in us to be that way. But at the same time, you have to be firm and you have to put your point across. So it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of perseverance, and I only like to tell this young group of architects that they have chosen a wonderful field, a responsible field, and as I always say, if Providence has created nature and created the macro architecture for us, it's architects as a profession, and these professionals who create the micro systems and the micro environments for us to live. So it's such a responsible job, and you have to be so responsive. And in today's terms, you have to be very sensitive to what you're doing to the macrocosm. So I think we are one up, and we can definitely do, if not better, what the men can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Success mantra of passion and focus. I really loved the way you explained it. I'm sure people will follow this and improve their approaches. Thank you so much. We're just moving on to the question session. Architect Sandil, sir, would you like to post any questions to the speakers?
Yeah, I'd like to post one question. Is my voice audible? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Like in fact, like the speakers are telling that it's a male-dominated society. I do agree with that, but in my experience, the husband will come to my office. He'll see the design. He'll give the project to me. He'll see the design and he'll be very happy about that. He will say everything is right, sir, excellent, everything is okay, sir. I'll go and get it approved. No change to be made. Still, I'll tell him, you please you please approve it. After that, if he change, we cannot go to the structural engineer and tell him to make changes again. And he'll say, no, sir, excellent, perfect. He'll go home. Next day, he'll come and say, sir, the total plans. I discussed with my wife, so the total plan has to be changed. So I doubt whether it is really a male-dominated society here. And because like women, they make a lot of observations, but a lot of practical points also. Lot of practical, like generally the male, they see the design only superficially, but women, they go into the detail of each and every aspect. And once when you satisfy them, then the design is practical in all aspects. Second thing is, I don't see any Vastu consultants, any female Vastu consultants. I will also like to ask the speakers why it is so. We come across only many male Vastu consultants. Whether the female, they don't like to take up the course, or it's not up to their potential. And I also don't come across MEP consultants who are ladies. We have only even the structural engineers also. Structural engineers, MEP consultants, Vastu consultants. They're all only from gen side only. From your experience, can you tell me why it's not happening?
You want me to answer? Who would like to answer this? Shall I answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You can answer.
See, as far as Vastu goes, I think Vastu has evolved. And, I had a chance to be a visiting professor in Indianapolis. So when I went there, one of the most important classes and the lectures that I had to give was on Vastu. So that was the time, I think, in the early 1980s, when this was just coming up popularly. Earlier, before that, when I started my practice, there was no Vastu. I used to put my bedrooms in the southeast, and I used to put my kitchens wherever it was most convenient, because the breeze direction for Chennai is from the southeast. But today, with Vastu, we have turned around and we have, done a lot of things which sometimes are anti-design and anti-engineering also. So as far as Vastu goes, I think I did a lot of study into how this came up from the Atharvana Veda, and I found that the way it is evolved is very beautiful. So when man tried to create his own, abode, he first created a round house. So the original Vastu was, a round house. And then afterwards, as it became larger, he put one pole in between because it would be an additional support. And then they said that this pole in between is a hindrance to people, and therefore nothing should come in the center. So I think these are development control rules of those periods, and it has also changed. Please tell me today's Vastu interpretation of having the southwest high and the east and the north low. Have you ever seen historically any building with such asymmetry? No. All our buildings historically, if they were sloping from our gopurams, have all sloped in all 4 cardinal points. So where is this question of, so I think this is a misinterpreted, science really, but one thing I do know is that the mind always plays a very important part. So if the client wants us to observe Vastu, I observe Vastu. I don't ask him any questions. I ask him, what level of Vastu do you want? If they say it is only for, reselling and it's an apartment complex, so, maximum houses have to be Vastu compliant. Okay, you just give the entrances in the right side and things like that. But there are people who tell you which side the potty should face, which side the wash basin should face, and then what is the angulum, the measurement that each thing should be. So if they want all that, there are people, clients of mine who gave me even, the inches and then fraction of an inch and fraction of that also, the degree. So, I had to say that I will give whatever I can on the drawing. You mark it at sight the way it has to be done. So please tell me, how is it possible to do such things in today's scenario? In today's scenario, if you have your well in the northeast and your neighbor will be having his septic tank there, because it is not northeast for him, it is northwest. And if the road is on that direction, obviously the septic tank will come there. So where is the question of Vastu? So Vastu was meant for small developments, and it says that it was meant for 700 bulbs. Today, tell me which house, even some of the largest houses that we do have more than 700 bulbs. So where is the validity of this? So we must also think back, and yes, whatever is required for your comfort, for your mind to be at peace, so that you're not scared that, you'll get a stomach pain if you have your bedroom in the southeast, somebody will not remain, they will die if you will continue building this way. I think that's all, exaggeration. And I think we should try to understand this. But if you have that fear psychosis in you, then as an architect and a professional, we bloody well accept it. Because if we overrule that and build, and the scare and the fright of the client staying there itself will cause a calamity. So this is my feeling about Vastu.
Yes, ma'am. Well said. I don't know. They say that the staircase should go clockwise. If you climb, it will be clockwise. If you climb down, it will be anti-clockwise. So where is the logic behind that?
Sir, in the context of this discussion on women in architecture and Vastu, I'll just have a 10-second answer. I had done my master's thesis on Vastu. And after that, for a long time, the only discussion around me was Vastu. Anyone who wanted to have I became a Vastu consultant of sorts in a very small way. And of course, like how Sheila ma'am said, that is what I felt. If you have an apartment, 4 apartments on one floor, and which means the center point is going to determine the orientation of each apartment, which didn't make sense to me. So I moved away from it for two reasons. Primarily, I didn't want to be branded that way. And second is my own belief of the entire interpretation of Vastu in the contemporary sense got diminished. That's it.
Very well said. Yeah, absolutely.
Any more questions, sir? Can I?
Yeah, I think you can go ahead now.
Yes, sir. Question to Dr. Vijayalakshmi, ma'am. How do you keep up the spirit as an academician? Over a period of time, is it not the same challenges and the content?
Frankly speaking, no, never. See, as an academician, if I talk very practically, you enter as a lecturer, which is you just take the notes and you are supposed to lecture and tell what it is about. Then you move to a next post. The next post doesn't come in one day. It's a series of years. After that, you become a reader. A reader is somebody who reads it, interprets it, and tells it. Then you become a professor. To become a professor, you should have something to profess. You should have had, and that doesn't happen in one day. You have your own theory, you have your own ideologies to profess, which you cannot get from any book. So when you are in teaching, say for example, let me come to a base level. If you're teaching prehistoric architecture, it cannot be the same if you keep on teaching even Cattle Hayuk over the years. If you are in Tamil Nadu, you have Kiradi to talk about. If you are in Vijayawada, I realize Vijayawada has a prehistoric site. So it is the faculty who will have to, this is where I say every day, every subject, every unit, everything you talk about should have a research component. A class cannot happen without a faculty reading up and doing some research every year. Even if I have handled, I am now 25 years I have completed in teaching. Even if I would have had to handle the same subject, I'm sure I'd have given it a different dimension. So it cannot be the same. That is what makes teaching very interesting. That you should be able to relate it to that generation. When we teach 25 years back, I had to relate it to that generation. When I teach today, I will have to relate it to that generation. I cannot sit here, I cannot talk about, say, the Parthenon the way I talked 25 years back, because today my students have gone and seen the Parthenon already before I teach, which means the interpretation has to come. So why I took history? Because people feel in history nothing changes, it's the same thing. Imagine if it is climate and built environment. How much has changed today? I mean, talking of design builder and rhino and ladybug and grasshopper, ladybug, energy plus, these are such common words that have happened. So it is not stagnating. It is extremely dynamic. It is so dynamic that we faculty members should be on pins and needles. Only then you can progress in your career, and only then you can gain the respect of your students.
Thank you, ma'am. Question to Harini and Anupama. As a duo, how do you handle the design process? How do you manage the difference of opinion and ideas in design? Hello.
Okay. Yes. I'll answer the question on behalf of us. So when we have, you're asking how we manage between us, the projects, the differences in opinions. So like I might like a particular building material and she might prefer another building material. Well, I think we have that, we're a little lucky that way, that we arrive at common grounds, like we arrive at something that we both like. If it's going to be yellow and orange, it's going to be in yellowish orange. Or she likes red bricks and yellow. So I think we kind of found our home in terms of our practice, and we made sure our egos did not clash. And so if Anu got her way in one project, she said, no, we're going to go with CSE, compressed stabilized earth blocks, and we're going to go ahead with doing jack arches. On the other project, I will be like, no, this time we're going to do rammed earth and cement oxide accent. So we kind of share that. We kind of, sometimes we do lots. So that doesn't stop us from coming up with newer ideas, that, it doesn't affect us. And nothing affects us. Right? I should be very honest.
Thank you. Thank you so much. A question to Sophia. A lot of students after they graduate say they're not able to get projects. As in, you've already spoke about this. From your perspective, how could they handle this situation? How to run an office efficiently?
Thanks, ma'am. But what I understand with your question, this question has two parts. One is students having difficulty in getting projects after graduation. And the second part is how to run an office efficiently. That's what
after they get a project, if they want to get into an office setup, how do they efficiently manage it?
Okay. Yeah. So I understood this thing. I would just, firstly, I would like to congratulate students who actually get projects at a very early stage of the career, because I didn't, frankly speaking. Even 1 or 2 projects, I think you've done a great job. So, but when it comes to the struggles of getting commission for more projects, or you getting more projects, I think through my experience is what I figured out working with several firms. So like when I interned, okay, that time when I worked with an architect who had amazing creative skills, and this creativity was etched on the buildings. Now, when I worked in another firm, I got to understand that the architect was concentrating on client budget and functionality and all of those. When then after that, when I worked in Bangalore, I realized that the importance of creativity and the importance of having functionality is very important. But there was another thing which was very important to get a project, and that was expressing to the client the amount you care for them. That is basically empathizing to the client's need. So with the creativity and the projects you have, you show your credibility. But when you show that you empathize to the client, that is when you win the project, or you get the project. The client basically entrusts you. So if you need to get a project, all you have to do is show your credibility, show your work, but also show how much you empathize towards your client. That will definitely win you projects. That's how I've been getting projects. Believe me, this is a tried and tested method. So that's why I'm telling you the secret sauce of how I get projects. It's all about showing your credibility of your work, and also showing how much you empathize towards your client. And in order to run this slowly and efficiently, to run your office efficiently, I strongly believe in 4 things. One is the quality of work you deliver. That is the customer success. So whatever thing you do, if you do not deliver the product well, the building, if you're building a house, something, if you do not do not do a good job, you're not going to get more projects. So in order to even get a project, you have to do a previous project well. So basically, you do not get projects through any leads or something like that. You get projects only through word of mouth. So make sure your quality of work is really good. So this is fundamentally a secret to run your firm for a longer time. Another important aspect I believe in is team building. Let it be from 2 or 3, how much ever. You try and build a solid team which works along with the company's vision, along with what the clients want, or along with what the idea or the mission is. So make sure you build your team with the right set of people. And that's the second point, I think, to run a firm efficiently. And the third important thing is finance management. Believe me, even in times of pandemics right now, or any low time or something like that, managing finance is very important. This actually gives you confidence. So even if there's a lull or something, try and manage your finance so that you keep that thing going on and you sustain your firm, because many companies close because of finance, and this is not a joke. So make sure you manage your finance well. And the last thing I would like to say is the aspect of showing your credibility, the aspect of showing your portfolio, or you say the marketing like that. This is the last thing I would concentrate on, but this is also an important thing, because this builds a strong foundation of trust in other people. They look at your work. It's important to keep your portfolio updated. It's important to show people what you work. Let it be a smallest interior design of a room. See, I'm an architect, but to run my architecture firm, I take up interior designing projects. Though I've got a degree in interior designing as well, I take up interior designing projects because that is the bread and butter of my firm. Okay, but still, whatever I have, I put it in my portfolio. I show people. So this is what I've done. So I am capable of doing more projects. So you got to, kind of make a portfolio and show them. This is very important. And in spite of all of these things, in order to run a firm successfully, in order to run a firm efficiently, in order for you to have confidence to win more projects, whether you're a fresher, whether you're a 10-year-old experience, is all you need is perseverance. Believe me, you need to be patient, and you need to have perseverance in order to run your firm very successfully. Slow or steady, it will definitely run. So this is all I have to say for any, because I applied this. This is all I got to say for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a question for Sheila ma'am. As an architect, what was your first project and what were the difficulties in handling them? How did the society receive the first women architect?
See, as the first project, when I started off, I didn't have anything to show. So, you know, you have to, but I was fortunate that I got a few people who believed that I could, you know, deliver what they needed. So that was, I mean, you know, having a precedence or creating a portfolio of done work was something that was, you know, challenging in the beginning when I started my work. And well, after that, I think slowly, as Sophia said, it's word of mouth, and you know, you do a good job, and then one more follows. I also went her route. I did a lot of interiors, and to the point when people used to say, "Oh, you're an interior designer or an interior decorator," as they call it. So that was there, that phase was there, but all the time the office was handling interiors and architecture projects, as it is even doing now. And I like to do interiors, architecture, everything together, because I think it can holistically, you know, tell a story, and you know, create an ambience which can tell a story. Have I answered your question?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
It was not audible from here. Yeah. Okay, we have a few questions from the participant side. So the first question to Vijay ma'am from Narayani: how to manage research, especially academical pressure combined with family commitments? Is there any structure to the process?
Yeah. So, Ms. Narayani, first and foremost, if you ask me, based on my experience, I will say it is very hard, it is very difficult, and therefore it is worth it. When I did my research, by research, I mean you are asking a PhD. And if it is a PhD, then it is difficult because you have finished your undergraduation, you have finished your post-graduation. And by the time you enter PhD, you either have a kid or either you have two kids. I had two kids when I started my PhD. I had a full-time work. I was working full-time in an institution. I had to teach because I was a AICTE QIP scholar. I had to teach in another institution, and I had to attend my courseworks, which were one in IIT, one in Institute of Remote Sensing, one in Institute of Energy Studies, one in the Town Planning Department, and I had to do a fifth course also, which was in Madras School of Economics. Why? Because I was my supervisor's first candidate. So all his aspirations were thrust on me. Not an issue, but I'm saying it is very difficult. But then that is how, I mean, you should have that fire first. You should have that fire is first. Second is family support is very, 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 very important. I would be nothing without the support of my husband. When I say family, in my case, I didn't have any elderly help. It was me, my husband, who were taking care of my kids and also my career. And that kind of support, I mean, it was not a support. It just went off so slimily. If I actually look back, there was nothing like we sat over and then we had a deal or a chat that I will do this. Only much later when I asked him, why did you tolerate me for all that I have put you through? The only answer he said was, I find very few ladies to have that kind of a fire and a determination in them. So the least I could do is not stop you. So what I'm trying to say is you have the fire. So then I realized, okay, so I mean, I should prove that I have that fire in me. Only then the other person is going to probably, I mean, I was very lucky to have support. but then you have to convince your spouse to be supportive. And that is the practical side. Technical side, you people are very lucky because you have internet. During my times, Saturday morning, my husband would drop me at IIT library. Sunday morning, he'll drop me, my husband and my 2 kids. My younger one was just trying to speak. He was so small. Because we didn't have internet, my only source of getting information was journals, and that too only hard copy journals, and only IIT had those journals. And I could take only 10 pages Xerox on a day. So I had to read 100 or 200 pages to get those precious 10 pages of Xerox, from which I would have to frame my research questions. So it is tough, but it is worth it. Please do it, simply because I'll tell you one thing. Research says that a man's gray cells work 7 times more than a woman. And gray cells are responsible for a tunnel effect. They can be focused to do only one work. Whereas a female's white cells works 10 times more than a man's. And that part of the brain is responsible for empathy, multitasking, being sensitive, being emotional. You need all of these to do research. Research cannot be a tunnel effect alone. You need all of these. You can do it. You believe you can do it. And you prove it. It's a challenge you do for yourself. In that course, there'll be some things you will miss. I have hardly attended any family marriage, function, birthday, nothing. My husband would take over all of that and do it on my behalf. I think you have that fire. You convince your people that this has to be done. You can do it. But that's the only way. I do not know any other shortcut of doing it. Vidya?
Thank you, ma'am. I think we've answered Narayani ma'am's question. Question to Sophia from Manoharan, sir. When you say helping youngsters, do you mean interns?
Oh, no. When I say youngsters, I mean young architects, budding architects, right? From interns, the people who are doing thesis and who need guidance, our fellow architects who are as much as experienced we are. So it means everybody, maybe a senior architect or junior architect. When I say fellow counterparts, I mean everybody. Let it be by, I have a couple of architects friends who are doing, probably not doing projects, but they're doing only 3D animation. So I help them get projects, I refer projects. Okay, it's like that. That's what I meant when I say helping counterparts. I'm sure many of us can do it. I have a couple of friends who are doing solely construction, which I'm not doing. So, I tend to get them references, or even for interns, if they have any courses or something, then I help them out like that. So basically trying to give them exposure, trying to give them leads or help in any matter, any sort. That's what I said when I help my fellow counterparts. Let it be male or female, anybody for that matter.
Thank you, Sophia. We have a question from Bhageshri to Sheila ma'am. How do we overcome the problem of women facing in architecture practice? How do we overcome the problem women are facing while doing the architectural practice? Most of them are considered inferior to men. Can this scenario change over time? Ma'am, can you hear me? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. I think we can take the question later because ma'am is not available right now.
Okay, sir. There's a question for Anupama and Harini. Have you been offered a project and asked to do it without a fee of your architectural consultancy? How did you handle that? How do you negotiate your fees? And does being a woman, is it a challenge in financial negotiations? It's from Arlen Sindilwale.
Okay, I'll take that one. So, so there is a sort of guideline that everyone is supposed to follow, but practically speaking, that doesn't happen. Depends on the kind of project. What we do is we just go back and forth until we arrive at a fee that both of us are happy with. It depends on the distance for, to the site and back. We just generally calculate how much it's going to work out for us, and it all actually depends on how much we want to do that project. Actually, it comes down to that. And the kind of client, whether this whole experience is going to be worth it. And obviously, everyone is negotiating. Wherever you go, people are always negotiating. There'll be 10 other people to do it for them at a much lower cost. So, yeah, we just arrive at a fee that is mutually agreeable, I guess. We don't have a thumb rule, is what I'm saying.
I think I would just like to add to that. But
Yes.
I have faced situations wherein, I'm just telling, we being a women, I had to, kind of lessen my fees during my first few projects. Or literally do it for free, or just, that was a stage when I had taken up a first few projects. So things like that are also there for doing projects without fee as well.
Okay. Thank you. Due to lack of time, we're not asking the other questions. Please feel free to send your questions to IIA Tamil Nadu chapter's mail ID. We will get the answers from the speakers. May I request Architect Lognathan sir for vote of thanks?
Vidya, can I just add just one thing, please, before you wind up?
Yes,
I would just like to add that women in architects, this discussion is not about women being superior or women being inferior or women being harassed by men or anything like that. It's a disclaimer I give from my side. Even in my presentation, I said that I would be nothing without the many men who supported me. I'm not sure how many women supported me, but I can bet and say that many men within my family who are, say, kind of obliged to support me because they ended up in a relationship with me. But in my workplace also, there were many men who supported me unconditionally. So please, participants, don't think we are trying to say that, okay, we are one big tyagis who've been harassed by men all our life and we are struggling or something. Women have their inherent issues, inherent problems which come from the society or which comes from an evolutionary process. We are just struggling to overcome that, and in this forum we are trying to support each other and to tell the participants we are with you in your struggle, we understand your struggle. But that is not because men are sitting on our head and crushing us. So that is all I wanted to say, in case some men think that we are bashing them or anything like that. It's not like that. Thanks, Vidya.
Thank you, ma'am. Even I would like, sir.
Yeah, even I like to say add to what Vijayalakshmi madam told right now. These women are able to understand what we have in our mind, but we are never in a position to understand what they have in their mind. So you are always superior than us.
Even I would like to add a few points, because I saw a lot of comments saying with this gender issue has been spoken. It is not about the gender issue that's been spoken. We are sharing the success stories. We are not talking about men here. We're talking about women who are in a similar situation, who give reasons for not coming up. So we are showing few people who are with the same status or the same age group or the same line or the same platform who have achieved, so the others also can. That is the only criteria of this talk. Please don't mistake us. I would request Architect Lognathan sir, Joint Honorary Secretary, IIA chapter, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Well, it was a wonderful afternoon. We had all the wonderful ladies, telling us about what is, from their perspective, what is the career, what is the profession, and how they balance family and profession. And in fact, first thing I want to tell about this presentation by all the ladies, all of you women really proved you have an upper hand in verbal communication and time management. We started exactly, your presentations by about 4:04 or 4:05. Then you completed your everything by 5:05. That is, you have given 15 minutes for each group, and 4 into 15, 1 hour. All four of you, just exactly on the dot, you completed your presentations. That was a wonderful feat. So kudos to you. And like Vijayalakshmi madam was telling, and most of all of you are telling that, it is heartening to know that all your success has come from very good support from your spouses. So certainly all men are now, we have testified they are brought to the earth by goddesses. So that's another great finding. Then thanks for sharing the information about gray cells and white cells. We respect and regard so much and very much the white cells. That is why particularly we wanted to have this particular webinar. There is no gender bias or anything like that. Like one of the architects, in one of the previous webinars mentioned, no need to walk in front, no need to walk behind, walk besides. So this webinar is just to express to the world we are all walking besides. So that is exactly the thing, and we are very, very thankful to all the speakers for enabling this particular point. Particularly Sheila Madam, for in a short notice, she has actually accepted and come in and given an ocean of experience in a nutshell. So, and I remember when I was in the BArch as a student, she was the first architect to come in as a critic for one of our architectural appreciation or some assignment. So I even remember
petrol bunk.
No, but not petrol bunk. And before that itself, she came for the architecture appreciation. I had sketched the TWA terminal, and that time now we don't know how to speak and all that. So we are all from down south of Tamil Nadu, and I took some 4 sentences from that book where that I took the sketch and then mugged it up and then went and totally put it there. And there was one word called flamboyant, and she caught that word and asked me what is flamboyant. So and I knew that the person who's going to come is going to ask what is flamboyant. I already took the dictionary and I had actually read the meaning, and I started. Actually, this I cannot forget this in my life, because we had one lady architect coming in and criticizing us. These are all these experiences were new. Then I find Sheila Madam growing up, and now she's in the realm of things. So we are very, very lucky and proud and happy. Even nowadays, now Sendil used to tease me with that word. What is flamboyant? Like that, he'll ask me. So we are very lucky to have you, Madam, Sheila Madam, and next Dr. Vijayalakshmi Madam. We are so happy and so proud that a Tamil lady architect is actually in the arena of national academics. So thank you so much for spending such wonderful, valuable time with us and talking about academics and sharing so much of your thought. And other speakers, Architect Anupama and Architect Harini, it is wonderful that you are a motivating force to all the younger girls who want to actually practice. And of course, Architect Sophia also, thanks for sharing that particular secret mantra of your practice model. I should thank Architect Vijayalakshmi for moderating this so fluently, starting the whole episode with with statistics, and after each and every speaker spoke, listening to their speech, she picked up very valid key points and then gave a rush through. So and very nicely moderating the whole show. Thank you, Architect Vijayalakshmi. I should thank Architect Kala Praveen, one of our youngsters who had made that digital that invite. Thank you, Kala Praveen, for all the efforts. I should thank our architect Yuvraj, who is on the technical side, who is the technical coordinator. I heartfully thank each and every participant who has come in here. I find that about more than 65% is all women here. And thank you so much for spending this afternoon with us. We will be coming up with many other webinars and so many things. So please be a part of us. Thank you, one and all. Good evening. Over to
Thank you
all. Thank you, participants, for coming over. And this is on behalf of IIA Tamil Nadu chapter. We are signing off. And stay connected with us. Stay home, stay safe, and thank you.
Thank you.